I'm going to try and do a quick update where we are at the minute, and we're getting to the golden hour, so some of the garden's looking really nice in this light. We'll start with this. This is Dorma Ammonicum, a real weird one. It don't really go any colour. It just stays that green. It's a real nice one and a bit wacky and in keeping with my style. As we all know, the weather's been brilliant for the last few days. Only downside is it dries out the garden and things start looking a bit pasty. Nevertheless, I've carried on gardening because I've got the garden open soon. So finally painted this inside. It's not 100% finished yet, as I said. The seat's still to go in, and I've still got to finish the tin roof, but we are getting there. This is a new feature. Not really doing a Japanese garden, but I just thought, because I got this Acer palmatum and it's a dissectum, and I think it's garnet, I believe, I'm not sure. I thought I would use this to go with it and to complement it, and I think it does complement it. And the rocks all work as well, and it's kind of Japanese. I didn't want a real Japanese garden, although I do love them. So everything's really growing now, and I'm constantly taking new pictures, because if you don't, you'll just miss stuff all the time. I'll give this a mention. This is Allium atripurpureum, and although it's not out yet properly, this is one of the few alliums I'm aware of that has a heavy scent to it, and it's really nice. Definitely worth getting. Oh, it does have a nice scent to it. So sometimes at Grassy Bottom we get this side lighting as the sun's going down, and if you just come out at the right time, as with most gardens, which we call the golden hour, then it just looks really nice. Now I'm busy going through borders. Every night that I get home, I'm doing borders, going through them, weeding them through, breaking up the soil, and just checking it, assessing what's working and what's not working. I'm finding a few plants are dead as we've gone along, some of those being the ones that I actually put in the spring. So I'm taking those out as I find them, and I don't consider it a loss. I consider it a kind of a lesson, telling me where these plants don't like. I'm really happy with this border now. It's coming into its own. Just get some lovely views through it, and this grass is really impressing this year. It's now 8 foot. I have measured it. It's 8 foot up in the air. I'm still praying for the 12 foot. I think we did about 9, almost 10 last year. This Fatsia japonica is looking great. I love it. I love what it's doing. It's sending up quite clearly two big stems. What's that? Oh, it's got loads of ants there farming on the back of it, on the back of the leaves. Look, you can see this. You'll find this happening all the time. They're not going to do it too much damage, not the Fatsia anyway. Bamboo's doing brilliant now. As I said, this is here to help with some kind of a screening, give me a bit of privacy really on the boardwalk and the shack, in the shack really, and on the deck itself. So when I'm sat down here, probably won't give me what I need this year, but it won't be far off. It'll certainly be up to the height I want it, but it won't be thick enough this year. it takes a little bit of time to get it to that. This is a great euphorbia that's new to me, and I love it. It's a real tall one. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name. It's really good. This hellebor's looking wonderful. I spotted it up the garden earlier, and it's huge this year. It's doing absolutely brilliant. It's funny how you get some smaller foxgloves, so the digitalis purpurea, and then you get these huge great ones. That one there is 6 foot, whereas this one is about 2. This is Strantia shaggy's looking good now. It's in Vulcarata, and it's really nice. It's a real nice type. I just like the name Shaggy, really. I've put this buddleia back here, and I rescued this buddleia. Well, I say I rescued it. I took cuttings off a buddleia on an out-of-the-way farmhouse years ago. And I think it's Lockinch, but I'm not 100% sure that it is, but I believe it to be Lockinch. So I took some cuttings, and I've kept it going for about 7 years now. And I brought one cutting up here with me and put it here thinking, well, it's not really going to like it here because they do tend to like a little bit of sun. But you've got to remember that the sun does pass it for about 3 to 4 or maybe 5 hours. And up until this bamboo gets going, I think it's going to be okay. It's going to get enough. So the Nook isn't really any further. It's just where it is. It's where I want it to be at the moment. Still looks great. Everything's looking great. Looks like that grass might need a little bit of water bringing down to it. Will be fine, but you can see the ground is so cracked up because we've not had enough rain, and it will suffer as a consequence of that. Everything else is doing all right though. It really is a nice euphorbia, this, and it's just a shame that it spoils itself. And that is definitely related to Robbie Eye, the one that's a real woodland spreader. And it's called Whistleberry Garnet, and that's because of the tinges there. It's more garnet when it first comes up new. But it is a real stunner. But I think it likes it here, and I'm happy to leave it in here because it's not going to cause a problem. It can do what it wants, to be honest. It's got plenty of space to run amok and do what it wants. Cerebotera japonica is looking great now. It's definitely a happy down here. I have to say, it's really happy. I do like it. Wasn't sure it was going to make it, but it has. So the Nook's been a bit of a success, I suppose. And as you remember, it was called the Secret Garden at one time. So we're working on this bit, and I think I'm getting there now. Still a little bit of jiffling around, I think. But things are growing nicely. I'm quite happy at the moment. I've got to let some of the plants mature, and I'm not going to worry too much until they've got a little bit bigger so we can see what we need to do. Because I'm still, oh, it's doing all right now. This is a Fatsia polycarpa. Remember, it sort of didn't like the winter, and it is a hardy one. It's not hardy, but it should be hardy enough in this garden. And I'm just going to wait for it to get a bit taller. But it'll be all right. My Eupatorium Skinny Mini is looking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It never lets me down, this one. Never lets me down. This is a Helenium called Fierschigel, and I think it means lightning bolt. It's not out yet, obviously. It's a Carl Forster selection, but I wasn't sure it was the correct one because I've seen lots of pictures of it and the flowers didn't really meet with what I was seeing. But I'm hopeful this year that we'll get a proper showing of the flowers. So this is an early Nyphophia. That's looking great as well. It's a huge one. Brilliant. It's not the biggest one I have got. I've got one even bigger, which we will get to see in August time. The salvia is looking good. That's Caradonna. Now this, although this looks a bit sparse here at the moment, I've got some Rebecca Demii. You can see the little ones. I've not got round to this border yet for weeding it out, but this is probably on my list for tomorrow night. We'll go through it and clean it out a little bit. I love digitalis. Yeah, this one's 6 foot, this particular one. So that's looking great. These haven't found the home yet. I've stuck them into this dustbin. I've took the bamboo out. I'm having a little bit of a jiffle around with this little area. I'm going to move that dustbin about 2 foot away from the other one and then put something else in there. Don't know what yet. We'll work that one out. I've done a little bit of pruning up of Malachi, Euphorbia Malachi. I did say that was Eupatorium Skinny Mini, did I? That one up there. Just making sure. Yeah, Euphorbia Malachi. And I've had to clip some of the bigger chunks. Now, every one of those that you see there, the big ones, should have all flowered. But it refuses and continues to refuse to flower. So I've had to trim some back to allow the new growth to make an appearance, which it is doing. You can see all the growth there. So it's not a problem. If it never flowered again, ever, I wouldn't be bothered because it has that lovely purple tinge to it as autumn comes and winter. Well, especially as winter comes. So that's a proof that the wildlife area is working. This pond is working. I've got loads of water boatmen in here now. I did take some from out of the cow drinker further up the garden. You maybe just see, oh, they've all dipped down now. There are some there. Keep your eye on it. There's one there in the pondweed there. So I've got loads of water boatmen in here doing exactly what I wanted. Now I have found some hedgehog poo. I've not got the camera up and running. The batteries have run out. So I've not been able to confirm whether they're actually in here, but I'm 90% sure they are here. Sun's hitting this now, so it's looking really nice. It's really zinging out. So I've got Philadelphus here. This was already in the garden when I came. Oh, it's just starting to get its scent. So these flowers, they do get a beautiful scent, and they're just starting now. And it's quite a sprawling one. I've had to do a little bit of clipping, but it's going to look really, really nice, that. And I've allowed it to come over onto the boardwalk deliberately. That's the effect I want. I will be doing a little bit more pruning once it's finished its flowering, but it is absolutely covered in potential flowers, and they are heavily scented. The grasses, now miscanthus are what they call warm season grasses. So they don't really get going till about now, which is June, because obviously we've got the warm season. It's kicked in now, so all these miscanthus type grasses will really start kicking in now and start growing faster. So as we move into July and August, they'll really romp and go for it. And they are doing here. This one's been doing well from day one, actually. I've been quite impressed with how quickly this one has grown. That's miscanthus and a giganteous type called Jubilaris. And it's looking great. I've hardly found any. In fact, I've found no reverted ones this year. It tends to send up the odd reverted one. Leaf, that is. But it hasn't this year. Now, highly unlikely to seed that. It'll probably just not produce any seeds. But who knows? You never know, it might do. Getting your combinations right is quite important as well. So you can see the euphorbia there with the hosta. and then the grass in front. Now that's a really nice combination. The plants are really working well together, and that's called plant association. And it's something that that's relatively easy to get right once you get your eye in. And I think I have. But you've got to remember that some of these, once you get through the phase like this one here, it's got to that point where I need to remove those flower heads. I don't want to yet because this one's a little bit further behind than the others and doing well. Don't really want to get rid of those yet, but there will come a point when we have to spoil the show and knock them back in. But as you can see, all the new growth is away under there, and this is just a selected Wolfenii type, and it's doing all right. And that's my Eupatorium skinny mini again, and that does look really nice in there. That's the main clump that I take all of my cuttings and splits off. Not my cuttings, my splits really. It's a Salvia Dearania, and it is looking great. I've loved this one, and it's sending up loads more flowers because they do come from those little shoots, as you can see there. It'll send up a lot more. It's lovely. Now I cleared this border out yesterday, and I've had to remove some of the geraniums back there, the purpley flower, because it was all around here and it was really spoiling it. And I want this China clover to look good, so I had to go. I've been working on this bed tonight, and this is the long border, or part of the long border now, because it has the floating deck, as you can see. That's a really nice tranquil scene. In fact, I'm going to take a picture. I'm able to take pictures while I'm videoing, and I do often do it when I see a scene that I quite like the look of, and I like that. That just looks really inviting. It's a lovely one. So the rose is really flowering its socks off. It's crazy. Oh God, it's such a nice scent. This is Rosa Gertrude Jekyll, and it is just flowering and flowering. It won't stop flowering. Both sides, and it'll repeat flower. If I keep deadheading, which I obviously will, it'll just keep going. Never stop. These are coming out now. Very nice at the moment. That's really nice. Pretty flowers, aren't there? Those. I'm not really a flower man, but that's Cornus Cusa. Supposedly China girl, but as I discussed before, I'm not 100% convinced it is. Although it may be still. This Lamium or Violet, here's a reason you get these. The bees love it. It's what we call a false nettle. It looks like a nettle, but it's not a nettle, and it has not stopped growing and flowering. It's doing absolutely brilliant. And then this rose is now really going for it, and it's looking superb actually. In fact, I'm going to take a picture of that as well. It is Starlight Symphony, and I says that I'm 100% convinced it is. It shows the attributes of Starlight Symphony, but it seems a little bit big. The rose itself, the rose flowers, look a little bit bigger than I'd expected. And from the pictures I've looked at, other ones, it doesn't seem right. Now, I'm just assuming it's a good year for the roses, somebody once said. So we'll put that down to the good year, but it's so healthy, this one. I don't think I've ever had a rose as healthy as this one. So these are what I'm calling the walking stick euphorbias. I've decided to coin that term for them. This Excalibur, and it's been good all year, as you know, if you've been watching my videos. It's just so nice, and they're all flowering at the minute. They produce those flowers on top. Really nice. And Rosa Gertrude Jekyll behind it. Another rose. Really nice. Trying to remember which one it is. I'm going to have to cheat because I forgot where I put it. Oh, yeah. Woollerton Old Hall, beautiful. Finally flowering. I've had to feed it, suffering a bit, I noticed. It's got a bit of rust on it. A black spot rather. But it's quite nice, I like it. And it's going to be a climber, so we'll wait till it gets a bit more mature. These are doing well now. Brunera, you should get Brunera. If you've got a difficult situation, a dry area, a bit of a shady area, then I'd consider that one, Brunera. I don't know which that one is. I don't know if it's Sea Heart or if it's Jack Frost. It'd be one or the other. I've got so many now that I've lost track of them. So the garden's looking good from here. It's a great view from here. And it was always intended that I had a beautiful view when I sat down in this area like this, and that I get that view when I look out. It's really nice. I like that view. And now we're getting the scent of the roses. It's making it even better. And naturally, as the night comes in, as the light goes down, all that lights up. That barbed wire, it's got little fairy lights all over them, and they all light up at night. It's really nice. Who'd have believed I would get into fairy lights? Beautiful. Just love it. I just got the balance right. Just got that correct, I think. And it is looking nice. I'll not look at that geranium because, as you know, it's the wrong one. I should not be that. Silver birch is looking good. I'm going to do some little bit of pruning on it just to keep it in check because I want it to remain a fairly smaller betula. I want it to stay fairly small. I want it to get a bit taller than that, or I want to contain it, so I'll be doing a little bit of selective pruning. This will be one of the offending articles that'll go. That will come off. We don't need it. And we'll have a good look at that, and we'll nip some of the tops out just to reduce it a little bit. Not that it needs it, it's just helps long term. And there will come a point when I'll just leave it alone and let it do its thing, but by then it will pretty much not be the monster it could have been. This Fagus sylvatica is looking really nice, Dowick gold. As I said, this year it seems to be doing it. It's gone for it. So this area is looking good. Really nice. And the Calamagrostis, Cal Forster, is looking fantastic. All the seed heads are coming out now. Looking beautiful. So we'll end this video in a minute. Golden hour is slipping away slowly, but nevertheless, the garden is looking nice. That's a lovely scene, isn't it? Come on, let's have another picture. Right. Oh, let's show you this. Rich Echoes. I said it was looking rubbish this year. I take it back, Rich Echoes. You're looking great. That's an Ifophia, one of the early ones. And if you're wondering why my garden looks so healthy, these are the people I use. Plant Grow. Brilliant stuff. So there we go. There we go. Oh, look, I keep trying to escape and go. It's a bit addictive, this filming. I'll just show you this area because we bought some more osters. Bought 7 more at the weekend, went to an oster collector and bought a few more. But this area is looking great. The osters are superb. Best choice I did was taking them out of the garden, putting them into here. They look superb. So I've got a right oster collection going on now. I think this is Geranium palmatum. No label with it. Don't know where I got it from. But it's a lovely colour. Some more of my little osters that I got. Look at these little dinky little things. Some of them get a little bit bigger. But I've got a right collection going now. Okay, so there we go. The golden hour is starting to slip away, so I shall call that a night. And I'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da!